I appreciate everybody being here, and thanks to this team because they're doing the hardest job. So I think we should give them an applaud. So thank you for being here today and having this conversation. This is a conversation that a lot of people are curious and afraid to have. And I really want you to leave here today thinking forward, thinking for your people, thinking for your family, thinking for your friends. So, we look at the support that we get at Denver Startup, and you can see there's a lot of sponsors here that are part of this milestone. What I would love to see is these sponsors supporting the disability community. And Emerge being here today and supporting this people track, that's what it's about. Let's start filling these rooms with people to embrace disability, embrace our consumer and buying power. What I'd like to do is thank you for joining us for the 12th annual Startup Week. This would not be possible with any of our sponsors, as I said before. The people track, we have the sponsorship from Emerge, and by attending this session, you're agreeing to follow the code of conduct as well as being photographed and videoed here. I want you to check out Ready or Not Media, which is my company that I work for every day, and it's part of my mission and why I'm here today. D&I plus ableism. Are you curious? How many of you are curious about this today? Are you all touched by disability in one form or another? I'd love to see your hands. Many of you have recognized that there's a need for the diverse workforce. How many of us can say we're disability confident to bring disability to our workforce culture? Did you know that there are people with invisible disabilities? Did you know that this community is bigger than the population of China? Wow. Before I deliver these 5 things to you today and how your business can become accessible down the road, we first have to take the step to accelerate disability inclusion in our workforce and our cultures. We have to start acknowledging the challenges that we're faced with people with disabilities. The plus A is missing in D&I. The plus A is access, accessibility. It's time HR starts including the plus A. There are only 4% of companies including disability in their cultures. 90% of these people are including diversity. Why not access? How many of you are HR leaders here today? Do you include the plus A?
Where I can.
Tomorrow.
Well, we do a lot of it, but we're a remote company in 2 states, and so there's some things that just aren't feasible on a really tiny budget. So if somebody said, I'm really good at this and I'm blind, I don't know that my 2-person company would be able to accommodate that.
Oh, 2-person.
Tomorrow, yeah, we're a 2-person company, and I don't know that I personally would be able to do that.
Okay. We're going to make that happen. We're going to change that mindset today. What does the future look like for people with disabilities? I know my goal is to make disability the norm, not the exception. So we start with these definitions today. What is DEI? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is ableism? Discrimination of social prejudice, any form against people with disabilities. How many of you didn't know the definition of these words before you came in today? Wow. They're words in the dictionary. But that is okay. That is okay. What is ableism? The reason I focused on this is a big word. I want to share an experience that happened to me many, many, many years ago in New York. I was a commuter. I was traveling on the Long Island Railroad, and one day I saw this girl hand this conductor a card, and it said disability on it. And I said, disability? Where'd you get that card? So she said, oh, I get half price on my transportation because of my disability, and I get accommodations. And I go, how come I didn't know about that? I've been commuting here for like the last 5 years. Goodness, I've been paying a lot of money. Fast forward, I get the card. I'm on the train with my sister. And the conductor says, ticket, please. I give him my card. I didn't have my card, sorry. I didn't have my card. And I said, I don't have my card, but I have the disability card. So he says to me, you do not look disabled. My sister. And of course, we're in rush hour. She says, gets up, 5:30, the train is packed, and says, what does a person with a disability supposed to look like? The whole train, no joke, stood up and gave her a standing ovation. So the power of words, changing the attitudes and mindsets, erasing the stereotypes. This is all about access. So think about how you say these words. How many people have used microaggressions in this room? Didn't even know it. It's like the blind leading the blind. A lot of us have said that. Just think a little bit before you say these things. You're all probably wondering, who is this person standing up here? I was born with a hearing impairment. It's genetic on both sides of my family. And I grew up in a family where my mother was a teacher, my father was an athlete, an entrepreneur, a businessman. So I had the best of both of them. And, I had my challenges growing up with a disability, and I also had my successes with the disability. All of these things are true. But what's really true is that I didn't have the resources that most people have today. The individuals are really lucky with what we have today. The ADA has progressed and has given us opportunities. But I did struggle in the classroom, struggled in corporate America, was in corporate America for 10 years. Very challenging. I was part of the problem. Imagine that. I was part of the problem because I was not advocating for myself. I was afraid I would lose my job. I was afraid if I said something, oh my goodness, they're going to keep looking at me. I didn't want to bring attention to it. So now is the time that I am telling people to listen to me. I have 2 cochlear implants. Without them, I am completely deaf. So isn't it ironic that I'm using my voice to be heard? So I want to encourage business leaders to go out there and take a moment to not only hear people, but listen to people and understand the power of listening. Empathy versus sympathy. Who wants to tell me what empathy is? Anyone?
Trying to understand how someone else is feeling or experiencing the world.
Okay. And what about sympathy?
That one's always harder. Feeling sorry. Feeling
Any-
sorry for someone.
Okay.
Feeling
Okay.
with as opposed to feeling for.
Yes,
That's a great example.
Is that
Okay. So these definitions of empathy and sympathy are so close. And empathy is about stepping in one's shoes. So when we ask people about buying decisions, and we buy something, it's because we are emotionally attached to a product or service to buy something. And learning to cope with skills and relating to one another. Trying to connect with the person on such a deeper level is what empathy is. You're identifying with the person better. Sympathy, you're taking part in someone's feelings and how they feel. You feel sorry for them because they're going through a hard time. Today we're going to talk about this a little bit broader, but what I would like to do is look at these numbers. These numbers are powerful numbers. These numbers don't lie. When you look at the stats and facts, there are 1.8 billion people with disabilities that have $13 trillion in buying power. It's time we make this community feel welcome and to open up the new lens of leadership, to start thinking about how you can best target these communities in your work every day. When one sees something that you do for them, providing that access, they tell someone. Contagious. People with disabilities talk, they tell their family, they tell their friends. So the buying power is becoming bigger and bigger. Another thing, we look at the aging market. People are living longer. And people are living with disabilities longer as they age. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, friends, colleagues, us. So here we go. 5 ways to make your business accessible. What I want to do is I want you to join me in feeling the empathy. So some of you may have something under your chair, and if you see something in the row, please pick it up. It's either a blindfold or a stimulator goggle. And I would like, if you would like to participate, please do. And if you don't want to participate the whole time because you want to see the presentation, you can certainly take it off. It's whatever your preference is, how immersed you want to be in this. This is going to be life-changing for you. Mark my words. You're going to have a different attitude and approach to things when you leave here. Digital accessibility. Lawsuits are growing every single day. Companies are being sued left and right because they're not taking the initiative early in the game to say, you know what, we have to make our website accessible. But it's not just web accessibility. We're talking about providing experiences that are good for people with visual impairment, people with hearing impairment, cognitive impairments, dyslexia, whatever the case may be. Giving them an opportunity to be part of something. It expands your bottom line. It's a legal obligation. It's a law. I would love for you to reach for your phone, if you can, right now, and try to go to your website. With your visual impairment. How's it going?
Not good.
Do you want to share with me what you're feeling? How you feeling?
I turned on accessibility. I turned on voiceover.
Okay. Voiceover.
It's on every phone we own.
It's on every phone we own. Do we like Siri? No, yes. Siri helps us navigate. Apple is doing incredible things for people with disabilities. They are so forward in their thinking. They're not worried about Microsoft and keeping up with being the greatest. They are the greatest because they're thinking of the people. So what does this feel like, Christine, for you not being able to navigate your phone?
I'm out of it totally. I don't have anything tactile to guide me on where I need to go. I think I know how to pull down accessibility, but I never turned it on, so I am out of it. I am not in your world.
Okay. She is in my world. She is in my world when she starts paying attention and starts thinking about doing it because it becomes part of the norm, not the exception. I wear cochlear implants. It's amazing. Firefox, Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. Amazon Firefox connects to cochlear implants for Bluetooth and television. So my remote, I don't have to worry. I hear it right to my ears. That's power. My partner goes to sleep. I don't have to worry. It's too loud. Honey, shut the TV off. Too loud. You have a sense of humor. Accountability and policy. Let's go beyond the checkbox. Are you providing the advancement for people with disabilities in your culture? Are you using advertising and marketing in your campaigns? Are you having focus groups for people with disabilities? Are you creating an environment that is universally accessible? How many of you have used a ramp when you go somewhere? Curb cuts. Curb cuts were designed to help people with disabilities, but people with strollers are using them. People like UPS, FedEx, they love that they don't have to take the stairs. Stop putting a label on these things. Start creating ahead of time. Have accountability. Set those policies. Conduct trainings like this, where you are blindfolded and stimulator goggles, and work with vendors that have disability-owned companies. Create disability resource groups in your company. How many of you have resource groups for people with disabilities in your companies? 2, 3. How many of you have D&I in your companies? We need to make this part of the narrative. And before I go to this, we talk about events. Go back for a minute. We talk about events. How many of you do events for your companies? How many of you have thought about bringing an interpreter to your events? Okay. Wouldn't you love to expand to a broader market of 600,000 people who are deaf and hard of hearing in the United States to come to your events? I shop, I travel, I spend money, I pay bills, unfortunately, but yes. Service animals coming to events. People in registration, if a service animal needs to do their business, where is it? Where is the bathroom? Are there maps? Are you creating maps to show where access is? On your website, are you giving that information out before the event starts? Creating those aha moments where most of the questions are being answered before the event. And people are so excited that they know that there's accessible parking, that assistive listening devices are going to be there, signage. All these things to just be mindful of. Nature's best problem solvers. We talk about retention. We talk about productivity, reducing turnover, improving culture morale. Isn't that what every employer wants? People with disabilities have had to navigate a world that was not built for them. How many of you have said, I don't know where to find good people to hire? Anybody wonder where good people are? People with disabilities have had to work harder, think about solutions, think about how they're going to get from point A to Z, and they get there. They get there alone, and sometimes they do get there with help and not being afraid to ask for help. I would love to know if you feel the empathy of what I'm saying. Show of hands. I'd like to see you put the mask back on for a second. And I would like to see if you can tell me, Barbara, what is on the screen? I'm sitting next to you at a conference, and I'd like to know what's on the screen.
I have no idea.
Okay, she had no idea.
Yeah.
Would you like me to help you?
Yes.
Okay. It says step 1, active empathy. There is a blue border around the background of the slide. There is text bolded on top. It says step 1, active empathy. There are several bullets to the left. Invest in training, storytelling, host open forums, provide resources, build conversations, and encourage open cultures to build curiosity. There is a picture in the middle, which is gentlemen, 3 gentlemen in the back and a woman raising their hands, signing, "I love you." One is wearing khaki pants and a black short-sleeved shirt, red top, and the gentleman's in a wheelchair. He's a man of color. There's another gentleman in purple signing with 2 fingers up. The right of that, there is a logo that says Denver Startup Week. Do you see where I'm going? You can have someone help you, but there are services and technology that can read that information to you. Wouldn't you want to be part of the experience of what we're doing today? Living with a visual impairment or a mobility impairment. This is what we're encouraging, to have these conversations and curiosity and openness in your cultures. These are small steps that go so far in an organization. So all of us have obviously been given this temporary disability here. And I would love for you to team up and partner with somebody here today and share how this has shaped your narrative of disability. So I'm going to give you at least like 4 or 5 minutes to just talk amongst yourselves. Good. Powerful.
Person living with blindness, do they understand a black person, a red shirt?
Yes, because colors are described almost like, so red is fire, feels like fire, black, you know, they identify colors with things. So, you know, and that's how they.
That's interesting. You should ask us if you haven't already planned to. You would ask us at the beginning how many of us have somebody. You need to. I would ask also about the fact that ADHD and all these other things are disabilities that we don't even know about. Invisible disabilities. How many of us know somebody with ADHD? You know.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. This is good. Don't forget to reach out. I'm stealing your girl. Me and Josh, when we met her yesterday, Josh goes, "I want your number. You're good at this." And then I said, "I want your number." She's always first, but then, yeah. Then Josh is second because he asked second.
good to not be wearing headphones right now. It's a very stimulating room. Even with it for now, just because I just started. So for today, for right now, it's fine. But honestly, putting on the mask, right, and then having you describe it, I was I felt like I cheated because I already knew what the what the slide looked like, and just what a wild experience it would be to try and imagine that. And then I thought, I read fiction books, right? I have to imagine the characters. So why am I thinking this is something so hard to do? Why aren't we creating rich descriptions in our image capture?
The American Association for People with Disabilities, and she says we should all be so lucky to have a disability. Because that means we've lived a long enough life that we should all be lucky enough to have some form of disability.
Hi.
It's nice to finally meet you. Jesse.
I know. Nice to meet you in person. Yes, thank you for coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm Kyle. I'm her brother.
Lori Fisher,
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
But
Thank
he
you.
works for the county, so
Local
I was
county,
like,
local
yeah, one of the local
government.
county governments,
okay.
right.
And they are pouring a lot of resources into this kind of thing. So,
Yeah, it's great.
but
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
would they have the resources to kind of do that? We have DEI officers that are taking into account the plus A, and it's really good to see. As Jesse was saying, that was a lot of her challenges with a very small company.
Yeah, like everybody,
Yeah.
almost everybody I work with or talk to has less than 5 employees. And so picking and choosing what makes sense, what's in your budget, what do you think about now, what do you think about when it comes up. So I picked that example of I don't have the resources to hire someone who's blind right now. If I had a really great candidate who was blind, great, I could probably figure it out. Our programming is all set up for that already. The outgoing stuff that we do is great, but internally, I haven't needed to think about it, so I haven't.
Right. Yeah, it's just trying to change the mindset where, it is part of these budgets, and it is,
Right.
and until we start looking at the bigger picture of the dollar signs, and that, there's so many people living with invisible disabilities out there, they're not even talking about it. There are more of us than we realize that are sitting next to us. So, but thank you. Thank you. Okay. I would love to continue these conversations all day long, because these are the conversations that we need to have in our organizations. What I would love to do is, if I can ask 2 volunteers to come up and share their experiences with me. However, I would like you to put your device on and join me to the stage to do that. I need 2 volunteers. Okay? And your name?
I'm Ben.
Pat?
Ben.
Bet?
Ben.
Ben. Okay. Thanks, Ben. Anyone else? I need one. One more? Okay. Do you need help? Okay. I would like to go to the left. You're going to walk to the stage.
Where's that?
So you're going to take about 4 or 5 steps. Turn left. Go straight. Okay. Turn left. And you're going to take a step up. 1 step. 1 step. And then another step. And you'll be on the stage. Okay. Okay. Keep walking. And you're going to face the audience. Thank you. Thank you. Ben?
She tells you to take 5 steps forward, don't do it.
No 5 steps forward. No, don't do it. If you would be able to share some of your experiences that you felt in your group and what you were talking about and how this has impacted you. That would be great.
So, hi everybody. I felt a sense of stress and like a depletion of my energy, like outside of whatever context or conversation I was having, just like in my initial, just like human experience. So it felt like it was harder for me to connect to what was going on, to what was happening. And so that was my like emotional and physical experience. And then I was thinking about, outside of work, I'm putting on a klezmer, which is like Jewish social justice music festival, and trying to figure out how to like incorporate this on a limited budget. And that was giving me questions and thoughts.
Okay. And I will let you share as well.
I'm Eunice. This has been an interesting experience for those of you that use these weird goggles, because I was experiencing more of the frustration because I can see, but to a limited amount, and so I could feel my eyes trying to strain to work harder to make sense of the words. I imagine if I wore these for all day, I'd probably get a headache. So I can feel that there would be a physical depletion. Whatever that spotlight is back there is really amplified in these goggles. So that's very distracting. But yeah, so I actually was able to pull up my own website with these on, I think because I'm really used to my keyboard and how to spell my own name. But just looking at my website and seeing all the headlines are visible, but I couldn't read any of the rest of the copy. So making sure that I have the assistive vocal device on there as well, I'm sure is going to come in handy.
Thank you. And if you may come join us, you took her to the stage. I would love to hear your perspective as someone who was taking and guiding this individual.
Hello, my name is Melissa. Let's see, my perspective was just really making sure that I communicated things that were visually available to me, but were not to Eunice. So it was even the proximity to the step. So thinking that I didn't want you to hit your leg, but it was making sure to, provide that information. And then the other part is to allow her to grab onto me and let me lead her versus like pulling her along. That was one of the biggest things, is because I wouldn't ever want somebody to forcibly pull me along in a direction that I had no control over.
Well, you started by asking, do you need help or would you like help?
Yeah.
And so I think even just getting that consent and giving autonomy is really important too.
Absolutely. People are people. Humans are humans.
Pretty powerful, right?
Yes.
I want to also add another thing. Those of you who are sitting there and I have hearing loss. I do not have any hearing right now without the use of my cochlear implants. I am completely deaf. The reason why I'm telling you this is, what if I woke up this morning and my devices weren't working and I had to come to Denver Startup and give a presentation? I would be thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this now? But how am I going to participate in Denver Startup? I'm going to participate in Denver Startup because I have captioning on the screen. I am able to feel part of something. Think about that. There could be someone in this audience that doesn't have hearing. They have a hard time understanding. They need those adjustments, accommodations made. A myth. Some people think providing access costs so much money. You just watch the dynamics of all this happen. Did anyone go in their pocket? No. Access. Conversation. Thank you so much. Me. Yeah. So to close out today, I have a pledge and some actionable takeaways for you. And a QR code which will give you 5 things that you can take away from what we did today that are going to be really powerful. And they are things that are going to go beyond the stuff that we shared today. They're my gift to you to go back to your companies and to do better every day. Enjoy these experiences of what I've given you to go away with. This isn't about me getting your email. This is about me making you game changers, being the champions of access, being the ones that make a difference in the organizations. That's my ask. To hire and work with companies that can help be part of your change. That's why I love the work I do. I love to spread empathy. Thank you. Thank you.
So good. Oh, can I ask you, Lori?
Sure.
What I had written down, what is the language? Let me just find my actual question. What is the for those of us that do host events, what's the language we should use saying that our event is accessible?
The QR code that you had gives you that.
See, I was trying to cheat because we're friends. Okay.
No. Yes.
Yeah, my question is, can you speak to the intersection of disability and other marginalized identities? I know maybe you've seen the video going around with like the 2 visually impaired people, one white, one black, like being more willing to help them and not willing to help the black person. And just like that in general, like other intersecting identities, like queer disability as well.
Yes, great question. And to go back to the slide where we talk about how big this market is, and we talk about it being bigger than the population of China, but we also look at that this is a community that affects every intersectionality, whether you are a person of color, different sexual orientation, gender, whatever the race, we are all affected by this population. So when I took my devices out and we talk about language, we talk about, I'll give you an example. So I take this out and I hand this to you, I hand this to you, and that's technology, right? But that also is providing me to give a voice, right? We all have voices. That is no different than a woman of color, of another race, gender, trying to have their voices heard. We are all trying to have our voices heard. We are more alike than we are different. I hope that helps you. Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so for someone who's trying to just make like a website more accessible and stuff, and are there resources you guys have that can help with, like the basic things we were talking about this just a little while ago about, and they're always like, you have to alt an image and stuff. And like, I've kind of been there and I've had to describe it, but I'm like, maybe that doesn't work for someone who can't see it. Like maybe I'm being too descriptive, or like, are there things for that can help with, and then are there groups of people who are willing to test some of the, when I do a website, can they test, like, it seems like you can't just design it and hope it's going to work. I mean, that happens with a website anyway, but
Sure.
it's a learning curve for me for sure. I know colors and I've worked with disabilities in sports, but now I'm like the opposite. I can't touch and walk with them and explain like that, but I was just curious.
Yes, so there are companies that do specialize in obviously website accessibility, and there are courses that you can learn about web access. You brought a point up. Earlier in the slide, we talked about social media. And, how many of us use social media here? All of us, okay. How many of you use captioning in your videos? Okay, and you love it, right? So universal access. Just start thinking about those things all the time. Alt tags, putting descriptions in your alt tags, being sensitive to emojis, the types of emojis that you're using, being conscious of how you're writing the words in language, like thank you. Let's say you're talking about disability sports, for example. So Paralympics, Paralympic Museum, capital P-A-R-A, Olympic, right? Museum has to be capital. A screen reader reads that better than reading lowercase all across. So just being mindful, once you start conditioning yourself on these accessibility issues for your website, for your hashtags, start doing it. LinkedIn hasn't done that yet in terms of making the caps on certain, we'll hopefully see those things happen. But there are resources, and in the QR code that I shared, there is some information on web accessibility for you. Anyone else? Yes.
Can I provide a quick answer?
And you can too, also, yes.
Yes. As a web developer, do you spend any time in the developer tools of Chrome?
A little bit, yeah.
There's a free tool in there called Lighthouse that will do an accessibility audit of your web page.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely free, even for WordPress site. Any website you can visit in Google Chrome, right-click and choose Inspect.
In fact, yes.
And that'll get you into developer tools.
Love it.
And there's a tool called Lighthouse, just like the Lighthouse.
Right, and the Lighthouse for the Blind.
Yeah,
Yes,
so the Lighthouse
exactly.
for Blind as
Yes.
well. And so that's a free tool that's available in 2/3 of all web browsers on the planet right now.
Right, and great information. And also, the information that I had given you is a free week trial for web accessibility. So I want you to take advantage of that. Any other questions? Can you come up? The light is, I can't read your lips.
What did you say the trial was? The 3-week trial?
So it's a 1-week trial. It's on Accessibay. It's that QR code that I gave you.
You know what I found interesting is Angie Beeman and I were looking to add accessibility to our website. And it wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be per year. I think it was like $800 or $900 for the year, which we spend that, on other things. Even as a one-person show, I think that's worth it. So that the accessibility, my site will always be accessible. So I thought that's a neat thing to know. That's probably in your link tree.
So
I found
listen.
that interesting.
Yeah, so listening to language of what she just shared, it wasn't as expensive as what it could be. But I also want you to think this way. I am going to reach so many more people. How many of you want more people to watch you, see you, buy from you?
That's an investment.
Accessibility.
Yeah.
One moment done. Go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah, so I had a question. I'm thinking that we're talking related to like accessibility and overlays, like for accessibility. And there's a lot cheaper ways even to bypass the overlays as well. So I just wanted to give credence to that a lot of the well-known companies that you're building these website platforms on, the WordPresses, the Squarespaces, the Webflows, like if you're using some of these different tools, they've already started to account for accessibility because
They should not charge us.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
so even going with the thing of accepting like an overlay to be a one fix solution, you're not still accounting for a lot of things with accessibility. So be careful even with like the overlays being the one hit solution.
And an overlay being the platform that would integrate.
The single code snippet, like the single line of code that you embed into your website
Okay.
and it creates those little symbols.
Yes.
Those are
They're not
we can
all.
go down the whole rabbit hole with that.
Amazing.
Good to know.
We have one more question.
More of a point to share with the audience. I was one of Zoom's first customers back in 2012 when nobody knew what Zoom was. I'm deaf, just like Laura. I actually work with Laura.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to meet Eric Yuan, who started and founded Zoom. And I was a paid member. I was not a beta tester or anything. And then I gave up the paid subscription after a year. He wrote to me and said, why? Did you not like our service? I said, actually, the best service I've ever used for lip reading. Because I'm an expert lip reader. And it was better than Skype and meeting, team meets and all of that. And I said, but the challenge is I didn't have a need to use it. But I would like to make some recommendations that you add captioning to your platform. And he did. So I'm the reason captioning. But the point is, he told me that his user base has gone up as a result of paying attention to accessibility. At least that was a very concrete example of everything that Lori's been talking about.
And you know, to Don's point, I was on a call. This is my last thing I'd like to share quickly. Is I was on a call with someone and they were in Rome and the image was so distorted on Zoom. And she was doing the majority of the talking. And they, in their internal offices, they didn't have accessibility for captioning, and they were a law firm. So let's change the picture. Let's move forward. Let's work together. Thank you so much. Thank you.